Welcome to the Yeshua community. Today we turn to one of the shortest and most personal letters in the New Testament, Paul's letter to Philemon. A runaway slave, a personal appeal, and a question that still unsettles us. Why does Paul not confront slavery? Let's listen closely.
This is Paul's shortest letter, just a few lines, a personal matter between him and Philemon, a man he knows well, a believer, a leader, someone who opens his home to others. And yet this small letter opens one of the most uncomfortable questions in all of Paul the Apostle's theology. A slave has run away. Onesimus, a name that means useful. Perhaps ironic, perhaps not. He is gone from his master, perhaps in conflict, perhaps in fear, perhaps on the run. And then he finds Paul. Or perhaps he seeks him out. We do not know. That is the first of many uncertainties. How did they actually meet? Was it by chance? Were they in the same prison? Or did Onesimus know exactly where to go, to a man who knew his master and who could speak on his behalf? The letter gives no clear answer, but it gives us a meeting. Paul calls him my child, language he uses for someone he has brought to faith. That means something has happened between them. A relationship has formed, a transformation perhaps. But what was the situation before this? Did Onesimus do something wrong? Paul suggests it. If he has wronged you at all or owes you anything, but he never says it directly. Is he a thief, a rebel, or simply a man who no longer wanted to be someone's property? We do not know, and perhaps this is what makes the letter so unsettling, because in the absence of clear facts we are forced to fill in the story ourselves. Paul now stands between two people. On one side, Philemon the believer, the established one, the one who owns. On the other side, Onesimus the subordinate, the one who has broken something, or been broken. And Paul chooses to act. He sends Onesimus back. That is the most concrete we know. He sends him back. He does not keep him. He does not hide him. He does not encourage him to flee. He sends him back, but not without words, not without pressure, not without trying to shape the outcome. Receive him as a brother. This is radical and at the same time not. Radical because it breaks with how slaves were seen. Not radical because it does not abolish the relationship. He does not say set him free. He does not say, this system is unjust. He says, receive him in a new way. As a brother. What does that mean in practice? It is unclear. Is it a call for emancipation? Many have read it that way, but Paul does not say it. He leaves it open. And in that space between what is said and what is not said, the tension emerges. Then comes another moment. Paul says, if he owes you anything, I will repay it. This is remarkable. Paul, who is in chains. Paul, who likely has little money. Paul, who lives simply, and yet I will repay. Is this literal, or is it rhetorical? Because almost in the same breath he reminds Philemon of something else. You owe me your very self. Suddenly the roles shift. The poor apostle stands in a position of moral authority. The wealthy slave owner stands in debt. Is this generosity, or is it pressure? Perhaps both. And again the letter gives us no clear resolution. It gives us a situation. A meeting between people with unequal power, unequal vulnerability, unequal freedom. And in the middle of this stands the question that does not go away. Why does Paul not oppose slavery? He sees a human being. He calls him brother. He intercedes for him. He offers to carry his debt. But he does not challenge the system that makes all of this necessary. Why? Is it powerlessness? That he has no ability to change something as vast as slavery in the Roman world? That is possible. The early Christians were few, without political power, without a voice in the system. A direct confrontation might have been dangerous, perhaps pointless. Or is it strategy? That he seeks to change relationships from within rather than structures from without. That he plants a thought, a slave is a brother. And that over time, this will make the system impossible. That is also possible, but it is an indirect path, a slow path. And in the meantime, the system remains. Or is it more challenging than that? That Paul simply does not see slavery as a fundamental moral problem? That, like many in his time, he takes it for granted? That his radicalism has limits? This is difficult to answer, but it is a question we cannot avoid, because the consequences are real. If Onesimus is sent back, what happens to him? Is he forgiven? Is he punished? Is he still treated as property? The letter says nothing. And perhaps that is what makes it so troubling. It leaves the outcome in the hands of a man with power and in our own interpretation. We are left with a picture of Paul that is complex, not only the theologian of Romans, Not only the polemic voice of Galatians, but a man navigating real relationships, trying to do good. But within structures, he does not break. And perhaps this is where the letter reaches us. Not in clear answers, but in the mirror it holds up. Because the question is not only what Paul did, but what we do. When we encounter injustice, when we stand between people, when we see a structure that produces suffering, do we adapt to it, soften it, or challenge it? Paul does not give us the answer, but he forces us to ask the question. And perhaps that is why this small letter still speaks.
This was a reflection on Paul's letter to Philemon, a brief letter with lasting questions. In the next episode, we continue exploring the authentic letters of Paul the Apostle of faith. If this spoke to you, consider sharing it with others. Thank you for listening.